So that's a conflict of interest. The next one. So it just to show also another study that we forget a bit, the CTN PT006 about niacin, led by a former CTN fellow Bertrand Le Boucher. It was a bit slow to be published, and with Mohamed Ali also, former CTN fellow, with a collection of CTN fellow, including Cecilia and Marie-Josée Brouillette and myself. So you can see a good CTN fellow achievement on this publication. However, the drug was not very well tolerated at high dose and no much clinical change. So next one. So that's the metformin. So the same structure. I think many clinical studies at the CTN are oriented to the gut, is to look at the old anti-glucose effect of metformin to see if we can improve inflammation in the gut. Next one. And the first paper was published on repurposing metformin, as it is so common with the COVID strategy, but to use in non-diabetic HIV person living with HIV. Next one, led by Stefan, of course. And next. So we were very disappointed because the plan to increase CD4, decrease CD8, improve CD8 ratio was not met. So we start by a failure. Interestingly, not like statin, when you give metformin in people who don't need to take metformin, glucose does not go down. And the hemoglobin glycosylated stay totally stable, and your weight size circumference was totally stable. So it was not a good start. Next one. However, we were encouraged by the new data with a stress hormone or anti-appetite hormone or cytokine called GDF15 that in fact increased during the metformin. And for the first time in the world, when we discontinue because it was not needed, they were not diabetic, the GDF15 went back to baseline, showing a causal effect of metformin in modulating GDF15 and linked to the loss of weight independently on glucose and inflammation. Encouragingly, this week, the colchicine action is also linked to GDF15 in Nature Metabolism, showing that colchicine acts like metformin by pushing out GDF15, which is an anti-appetite and anti-stress hormone. Next one. So there is a complex effect on metformin on mitochondrial. And now with Stefan, we are looking at the NADH-NAD ratio with the GDF15 at the mitochondrial level to explain this effect, which is also linked to colchicine and metformin, to flower, to plant product. We are very natural, as you know. Next. So we did a review, of course, two reviews, one in non-diabetic and diabetic. The first one showing this strange stress hormone in the context of diabetic and non-diabetic. And also this hormone is extremely elevated in cachexia that kills the patient before the tumor itself. And there is ongoing clinical trial to try to increase or to decrease this hormone depending of the context. Next one. So no, next one. Yeah, so LILAC study, so the gut sub-study with Petronella Ancunta with the help of Nicolas Chaumont with NeverFar, was published. So there was only the gut aspect of metformin, and we were very lucky to have an editorial published 2 weeks ago Flower Power, a very nice spiritual editorial showing that lilac, as you know, is a French lilac extract, being the metformin, is in fact locking in HIV in the gut, as demonstrated by Delphine Planas and Petronella Ancunta. And by the way, Delphine Planas got her first Nature Medicine this morning on COVID antibody at Pasteur Institute. Next one. So that's the mechanism elucidated by Petronella Ancunta. I won't go into detail, it's quite specific, but there is a locking in effect in the gut, but not in the blood, showing a partial interest activity of metformin by the DNA-RNA ratio in favor of viral transcription or inhibition or decrease. So it's a step toward more knowledge, but maybe the 3-month duration was a bit short and the effect was certain in the gut, but not seen much in the blood. And as you know, metformin concentration is 3,000 times higher in the gut versus in the blood. And IV metformin has very low efficacy on the sugar in mouse model. Next one. So that was for metformin. So at least we did 5 publications total, 1 the protocol, 2 review, and data on stool and inflammation and GDF-15 and on gut biopsy. So I think we accomplished what we planned, at least academically, with this drug. The other one outside the gut, growth hormone. As you know, growth hormone may grow thymus, and thymus a new T cell in adult, and that was the combined with CTN 298 and Serono, a drug company from US, and in collaboration with Steve Dick in San Francisco. Next slide. So next or press. So the hypothesis is on the is you bring new cell, naive cell are not infected under heart, and then by homeostasis, the old cell should die, you know, plastogen, and therefore we should slowly and gently decrease the HIV reservoir size. Next slide. And you can see that the growth hormone can grow the thymus, so no fresh cell, all cells go away, and all cells are more infected because they effector memory and they push out by the new one. Next slide. So that's the study design. So as you know, it's an injectable growth hormone. It's commercialized in Canada for dwarfism, small size, and also for extreme lipodystrophy in HIV patients under strict evaluation every 3 months because the drug is extremely expensive. And as you know, is used under the counter on the website, on the internet, to lose the abdominal fat. And this activity has been shown in Canada and in US with Dr. Falutz using another type of growth hormone, but there is, and people who do Tour de France, you know, they cannot even register if they don't take a growth hormone before Tour de France, and then they stop not to be caught. So that's the idea. It was an induction at 3 milligrams for 24 weeks, and then a decrease on the maintenance phase at 1.5 milligrams with a daily sub-Q injection. And we were fear that injection will not be excited for patients. It was a bit difficult to recruit because thymus activity stop or decrease totally after 40 years of age. So people in more need to lose abdominal fat were not included or they were excluded. And young and fresh people with a flat belly were only selected. So that was a bit paradoxal, but due to the thymus degeneration over time and not to the fat accumulation. So next. So the result, the drug was not very well tolerated, and 12 patients start the study, and they were on ART for a median of 3.7 years. Only 3 of the 12 participants complete the full 48 weeks due to poor tolerance, despite their despair, because they were so pleased to be on the growth hormone. There is probably a psychic effect. They were high, they were excited, they are more strength, as for Tour de France, and with Lance Armstrong also strategy. And however, they have a joint pain and they have some effect. And due to that, many discontinue. And you can see one has gynecomastia, and mainly was pain in joints. That was the main source of limitation of growth hormone. So press. And you can see the track, so the new fresh T cell coming out from the thymus can be measured in circulating blood. There were a slight increase over time, a bit less, and the track also by the frequency were also significantly increased. So even if they were between 20 and 40 years of age, the growth hormone did what it did in animal model, and in one study in California, you increase fresh new T cell. Next. So the reservoir, was modest as expected, because the timing and duration of treatment was stopped by side effects. So the full-blown effect that has been seen mainly after 6 months to 1 year in other study in HIV person show a modest decrease, significant, but still, as you know from other study, you need at least 1 log of decrease to have a delay in HIV rebound, and therefore it's statistically very exciting, but the level of decrease should be stronger, but a step in the good direction. Next one. So frequency of CD4, well, we did different strategy using TILDA, you know, a strategy designed by Nicolas Chaumont, and using TILDA show more fresh, vivid, alive-like virus. Is like a functional assay, but with no function, but he is more mimic active, non-defective virus, and he was relatively flat, but some people have a significant decrease compared to themselves. Next one. And also the replication component. So there is a trend into the frequency of T cell harboring replicated completed HIV. So it's a step in the good direction. Next one. So the drug was in fact welcomed by the patient, to my own surprise. They wanted to be injected every day. That was not a belly issue for the injection. However, the side effect was a limitation of this study. The reservoir size measured by quantitation was very small and very limited. A small number of participants, only 3 completed the 48 weeks of therapy. And at least the concept of fill to replace or plastogen strategy for HIV has been confirmed. Still, the number of patients, the duration, the side effect, and short term, in fact, limit the concept. But I think we show, and that was presented as an oral presentation at CROI, that it's possible. So we open a new way, but we definitively should have a better growth hormone with less side effect, and combine probably with other intervention. But we can bring new cell and push a bit old cell faster than natural history. Thank you. And that's, of course, the team. And the team is presented here, and want to thank Stéphane Isnard and César and José and NG, who push a lot for the patient. That was not an easy way to to select, but on the protocol, surprisingly, they were so sad to stop because they have also a lot of benefit in the strength and on belly fat. So it was a bit and sour way on a patient perspective. Thank you.